Dear children, today we are going to start the second part of the print culture, the effects of the print on the French Revolution. There are three effects. The first one, print popularized the ideas of the Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau. Collectively, the Enlightenment thinkers' writings provided a critical commentary on tradition, superstition, and despotism. And these thinkers argued for the rule of reason rather than following the custom and demanded that everything to be judged through the application of reason and rationality. The Enlightenment thinkers attacked and criticized the sacred authority of the church and the despotic power of the state. The writings of Voltaire and Rousseau were read widely by the people, and those who read these books, they saw the world through a questioning, critical, and rational eyes. Now, let's see the second effect of the print on French Revolution. Print created a new culture of dialogue and debate. All values, norms, and institutions were re-evaluated and discussed by people that had become aware of the power of reason and recognized the need to question existing ideas and beliefs. Within this public culture, new ideas of social revolution came into being. Now let's see the third one. Third, by the 1780s, there was an outpouring of literature that mocked the royalty and criticized their morality. In this process, it raised questions about the existing society or social order. Cartoons and caricatures typically suggested that the monarchy is absorbed only in sensual pleasures while the common people suffered immense hardships. This type of literature circulated underground and led to the growth of hostile sentiments against the monarchy. Now, we are going to see the impact of the print revolution on children, women, and workers. First one, children. As primary education became compulsory, children became an important category of readers. Production of school textbooks became very important for the publishing industry. A children's press devoted to literature for children alone was set up in France in 1857. This press published new works as well as old fairy tales and folk tales. Now, the Grimm brothers in Germany spent years compiling traditional folk tales which they had gathered from the peasants. Now, we are going to see the impact of print on women. Penny magazines were published for women, and they were manuals teaching proper behavior and housekeeping. When novels began to be written in the 19th century, women were seen as important readers. Some of the best known novelists were women. Example, Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters, and George Eliot. Their writings defined a new type of woman, a person with will, strength of personality, determination, and the power to think. Now, let's see how workers were influenced by the print. Lending libraries had been in existence from the 17th century onwards. In the 19th century, lending libraries in England became instruments for educating white-collar workers, artisans, and lower middle-class people. Sometimes, self-educated working-class people wrote for themselves. After the working day was gradually shortened from the mid-19th century, workers had some time for self-improvement and self-expression. They wrote political tracts and autobiographies in large numbers. The innovations in printing technology during the 18th century. By the late 18th century, the press came to be made of metal. Through the 19th century, there were series of further innovations in printing technology. Let's see those innovations. By the mid-19th century, Richard M. Howe of New York had perfected the power-driven cylindrical press. This was capable of printing 8,000 sheets per hour. This press was very useful for printing newspapers. The next innovation was in the late 19th century, the offset press was developed which could print up to 6 colors at a time. From the turn of the 20th century, electrically operated presses accelerated printing operations. A series of other developments followed. Methods of feeding paper improved, the quality of plates became better, automatic paper reels and photoelectric controls of the color register were introduced. The accumulation of several individual mechanical improvements transformed the appearance of printed text. With the onset of the Great Depression in the 1930s, publishers feared a decline in book purchases. So, to sustain buying, they published cheap paperback editions. Printers and publishers continuously developed new strategies to sell their products. 19th century periodicals serialized important novels, which gave birth to a particular way of writing novels. In the 1920s, in England, popular works were sold in cheap series called the Shilling series. The dust cover or the book jacket is also a 20th century innovation. The next topic is India and the world of print. The printing press first came to Goa with the Portuguese missionaries in the mid-16th century. Jesuit priests learned Konkani language and printed several tracts. By 1674, about 50 books had been printed in the Konkani and in Kannada languages. Catholic priests printed the first Tamil book in 1579 at Cochin, and in 1713 the first Malayalam book was printed by them. From 1780, James Augustus Hickey began to edit the Bengal Gazette, a weekly magazine. It was a private English enterprise and it was proud of its independence from colonial influence. Hickey published a lot of advertisements, including that related to the import and the sale of slaves. But he also published a lot of gossip about the company's senior officials in India. Provoked by this, Governor General Warren Hastings persecuted Hickey and he encouraged the publication of officially sanctioned newspapers. By the close of the 18th century, a number of newspapers and journals appeared in print. There were Indians too who began to publish Indian newspapers. The first to appear was the weekly Bengal Gazette, published by Gangadhar Bhattacharya, who was very close to Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Dear children, shall we revise the lessons? A few questions are given here, we will discuss it. Okay. The Grimm brothers of Germany published newspapers, folk tales, ballads, novels. What's the answer? The answer is folk tales. Second question, which of the following refers to print revolution? Options are Invention of printing press, shift from hand printing to mechanical printing, revolt of people against printed matters, handwritten manuscripts for printed books. The answer is B. Shift from hand printing to mechanical printing. The next question, the newspapers Shamsul Akbar and Jami Jahannama were published in which language? Options are Hindi, Persian, Arabic, Urdu. The answer is Persian. Now the next question, what was the reason for the increased literacy rates in the 17th and 18th centuries in Europe? Answer is churches of different denominations set up schools in villages carrying literacy to peasants and artisans. Now the next question, what are the drawbacks of the handwritten manuscripts? Answer, copying was an expensive, laborious and time-consuming business. Manuscripts were fragile, awkward to handle and could not be carried around or read easily. And the next one, their circulation therefore remained limited. Who wrote about the injustices of the caste system in his book Gulamgiri? Answer, Jyotiba Phule. Next question, why was James Augustus Hickey persecuted by Governor General Warren Hastings? Answer, for publishing a lot of gossip about company's senior officials. In ancient India, which of the following material was used for printing manuscripts? Options are parchments, vellum, palm leaves, paper. Answer is C. Palm leaves. Now the next question, complete the sentence with one of the following words. The Chinese paper reached Europe through, what are the options? Silk route, sea route, Buddhist missionaries, merchants. This answer is A. Silk route. The Italians got the technology of wood block printing from, this answer, from China. Answer A. China. Now second question, what were penny chap books? Penny chap books were pocket-sized books. Next question, who wrote Amar Jibon? Amar Jibon was written by Rash Sundari Devi. Not everyone welcomed the printed book. There was widespread criticism. What could have been the reason? Find the correct answer from the options given below. It was feared that if there was no control over what was printed and read, then rebellious and irreligious thoughts might spread. Next option, books will corrupt the minds of young readers. Third option, it will divide the society into intellectuals and non-intellectuals. Fourth option, time will be wasted in reading books and it will hamper the work of daily life. The answer is A. It was feared that if there was no control over what was printed and read, then rebellious and irreligious thoughts might spread. Many historians have argued that print culture created the conditions within which French Revolution occurred. Choose the correct statement in this regard from the list given below. Print culture promoted the idea of conservatism. It motivated the masses to protest old norms and values. Print culture created public opinion in favor of despotic power of the state. Print popularized the ideas of enlightened thinkers who attacked the despotic power of the state. The answer is D. Print popularized the ideas of enlightened thinkers. Who introduced the first printing press in India and when? The Portuguese missionaries in the mid-16th century is the answer. Next question. The printing press is the most powerful engine of progress and public opinion is the force that will sweep despotism away. Who said these words? Louis Sebastian Mercier. Next question. How did print culture help poor people in India? Answer. Cheap books were brought out which the poor people could afford to buy and read. Now let's do match the following. Column A, chapbook, Gutenberg, manuscript, Edo, the Bible. Column B, earlier name of Tokyo, first printed book published in Europe, pocket size cheap book, handwritten original text and printing press. Now let's match first one. A, chapbook is, it's matching with the third one, pocket size cheap book. B, Gutenberg, that is 5, printing press. Next one, manuscript, manuscript is matching with the column B, 4, handwritten original text. Next one, D, Edo, Edo is the first one, earlier name of Tokyo. Last one, the Bible. To second one, first printed book published in Europe. Refer the following words: innovation, persecuted, enlightenment thinkers, periodicals, despotism, fragile, tradition, superstition, paperback editions. Now dear children, please write the following questions in your notebook. The answers are given in the next slide, not answers but the page numbers. First question, who invented the printing press? How did he develop the printing technology? Second one, how had the earliest printing technology developed in the world? Explain with few examples. Third one, in what 3 ways did the printed books at first closely resemble the written manuscripts? Next one, how did the knowledge of woodblock printing come to Europe? Explain. Last one, why couldn't the production of handwritten manuscripts satisfy the ever increasing demand for books? Give any 3 reasons.